Well, as we speak, the organizers of the sit-in are meeting with the president of Clemson University. My photographer and I were not allowed inside in, but we watched as President Jim Clements welcomed those students into a conference room near his office in Sykes Hall about an hour ago. A short time ago, a protester took a break from the meeting to inform the rest of the group on the steps of Sykes Hall that she felt the talk with Clements was going around and around in circles. Again, the meeting is still going on at this point. This is day 6 of the sit-in. Student protesters slept on the steps on the sidewalk in front of Sykes Hall this weekend. They have air mattresses and tents as well as food and water, much of which has been donated. They're protesting what they call a culture here at Clemson that they believe is not inclusive for all people. It started last week after an African-American banner was defaced. Protesters sent a list of demands to the administration that included hiring more minority faculty and staff. They also want diversity training and courses at Clemson. Before going into the meeting, the students told me that they didn't know what would come out of it or what they'd be talking about. But again, I'm working on getting more information and we'll have it for you coming up tonight at 6. Mandy Gaither, WYFF News 4, live in Clemson.
Mandy, thank you very much. Greenville County deputies are saying little about a shooting in Pelsia that left 1 man dead and 3 others wounded.
But neighbors are speaking, and they're telling WYFF News 4 they've been concerned about activity in the neighborhood before yesterday. WYFF News 4's Tim Waller spoke to 2 people who live nearby.
Authorities were back at the home today where 4 people were shot Sunday, one of them fatally. While investigators are saying little about what may have happened here, Lorraine Stahl, who came by to feed the homeowner's pets, says he gave her this account of what happened.
He was out in the garage and he said that he saw, some folks come in the driveway and run into the house, and he was, like, what in the world's going on?
She claims he heard gunshots and saw a young man walk out of the house and collapse in the yard, and that he later died. Stahl claims the homeowner said he took 4 bullets to the shoulder and that his son was shot twice in the stomach. Stahl does not believe the homeowner was involved in the crime.
I told him some speculations that people out here were talking about, and he was rather stunned.
Investigators have not confirmed Stahl's story, nor have they said what led to the shooting, other than to say it was a possible home invasion. But Neighborhood Watch Captain Melvin Eskew says there have been problems in the neighborhood before and claims the sheriff's office has done little.
How can we see stuff and they not see it? I mean, it don't make sense.
Investigators have promised an update on the shooting, but so far little information has been given.
That was Tim Waller reporting. More than 24 hours after that deadly shooting, Greenville County investigators have not released the name of the victims, nor have they given any update on the suspects. Heavy overnight rain has caused widespread flooding across parts of southeastern Texas. This is the scene in Houston where drivers maneuvered through flooded streets. Steady rain has been falling since last night, a flash flood warning in effect until early tomorrow. The storm has also knocked out power to thousands of homes and businesses.
Now we're taking a live look outside at Greenville through our Hilton Skycam. It looks beautiful out there, a clear sky. WYFF News 4's chief meteorologist, John Cesarich, is in our studio. John, we're seeing low air quality right now, right?
Yeah, it's really bad out there. Unhealthy air, Carol, in the upstate, not in the mountainous areas, but in the upstate of South Carolina. I'll talk more about that in just a second. So we have high pressure that dominates that storm system out in Texas, is just sitting out there for days. And it's going to stay out there for quite a while as we warm up about 10 to 15 degrees above the average this time of the year. 84 right now in Greenville, 80 in Asheville. Very close to record high temperatures, but no record highs, but still way above average. Here's what Carol was talking about, the air quality warning until 9:15 this evening, and that's for this evening. Then it starts up again for tomorrow. We have high pressure at the surface and aloft, so we have stagnant air, so unhealthy air across the upstate. Take it easy, especially if you have asthma, and that's until 9 o'clock, 9:15 this evening, and then 6 a.m. until 9:15 again tomorrow across the upstate. Now back to you, Carol.
John, thank you. The dry weather has firefighters working around the clock to battle several wildfires in the western North Carolina mountains. WYFF News 4's Mike McCormick has that story.
This stretch of the Blue Ridge Parkway that remained closed for a while because of the wildfire is back open tonight.
Firefighters with the North Carolina Forest Service started fighting the so-called Shope Creek fire Sunday around noon. It started on private property.
It's steep, it's rocky, we're worried about the dead standing trees.
85 acres of land are burnt. The fire is about 95% contained.
We're making sure that the fire, all the hot spots are cooled off as best we can with the dirt, and making sure the trees that are burning standing are not throwing embers on the outside of the fire line.
Logs and land smoldered right along the Blue Ridge Parkway.
We were a little disappointed.
Donna Martin is from Washington, D.C.
You might see some bears.
She's on a road trip from Asheville to Louisville.
So we went and had a picnic and lunch and drove up here expecting we'd be able to get through, and nope.
A long stretch of the parkway had to be closed during the firefight. At 2:15, it reopened, even as firefighters were hard at work far into the woods.
It's been a while since we've had an appreciable amount of rainfall, and with all the sun and the leaves have not got on the tree to shade the ground, there's a lot of the fuel is dry and ready to burn.
Several fires burning across western North Carolina left a haze across the mountains and hundreds of acres of charred land. Mike McCormick, WIFF News 4, near Asheville.
A student from Wade Hampton High School was seriously injured during yesterday's bike race in downtown Greenville. Today, his mom is calling his recovery a miracle. Here are pictures of Eric Calder in the hospital. His mother says he had bleeding on the brain, broken collarbone, and more. Tammy Calder was told by doctors to prepare for the worst. She posted these images on Facebook and asked people to pray for her son. Her post was shared and commented on more than 1,000 times. Today, doctors say all his test results are showing a big improvement. So good, in fact, he may be able to go home soon. His mother says the prayers have worked.
I'm a Christian woman and I have a lot of Christian friends, and literally there are thousands of people throughout the world that are praying for Eric still today.
More from Eric's mom at 6, including what she believes also saved his life.
SLED is now investigating an incident at the Oconee County Detention Center. 2 upstate correctional officers are receiving treatment after inmates assaulted them, we're told. Officials say the incident happened just before 4:30 yesterday afternoon at the Oconee County Detention Center. The jail was placed on lockdown while officers worked to de-escalate the situation. The 2 correctional officers, along with 2 inmates, were taken to Oconee Memorial for their injuries.
A South Carolina man serving a life sentence for murder wants the state to help with a sex change. 44-year-old Edmonds Brown was convicted of killing a Charleston woman in 2003. Edmonds now goes by Catherine. Brown has asked the Corrections Department to help him with the transition from a man to a woman. The agency rejected the request. State law prohibits the use of state funds for gender-changing operations. The department does provide hormonal therapy if the inmate was using the drugs when sent to prison.
A South Carolina judge says a lawsuit seeking integration on a war memorial can go forward. Circuit Judge Frank Addy refused to dismiss the lawsuit late last week. Members of the American Legion want to change a World War I memorial in Greenwood that separates soldiers who died by race. There's a colored category and a white category. A law passed in 2000 requires a 2/3 approval from the General Assembly to change any historical monument in the state. Lawyers for the state had said American Legion members cannot sue because lawmakers have never voted on that particular monument.
Hundreds of people are expected to attend a rally in North Charleston tonight. The Charleston Area Justice Ministry is holding the rally 1 year after a white police officer was charged in the shooting death of a black man fleeing a traffic stop. Former officer Michael Slager faces murder charges in the death of Walter Scott. The shooting happened last April after Slager pulled Scott over in traffic. The group wants a reduction in the number of traffic stops in which drivers are stopped, but no tickets written. The group says many more black people are subject to these stops than people of other races.
An upstate man was shocked with a taser after deputies say he harassed Buddhists inside a temple. Spartanburg County deputies say Glenn Waldrop was drunk inside the Spartanburg Buddhist Center last night. They say Waldrop started to curse loudly as deputies were taking him out of the building at about 7:30. Deputies say while trying to place Waldrop under arrest, he pulled away and tried assaulting a deputy. They say Waldrop continued to resist arrest, and deputies say they shocked him twice with a taser. Waldrop is facing a slew of charges, among them resisting arrest with assault on police. The Southeast Asian New Year was being celebrated at the temple over the weekend.
An upstate woman died early this morning after her car rolled over her. That's according to state troopers. The coroner says 87-year-old Roxy Melton died Investigators say Melton got out of her car around 1:50 this morning at her home on Glendola Lane. They say she did not put the car in park. Troopers say the car rolled, knocked her down, and then rolled over her. She was taken to Cannon Memorial Hospital, where she died.
I'm Sally Kidd in Washington. Most of the presidential candidates are focusing on New York, where voters head to the polls tomorrow for what could be a pivotal primary.
It is National Lineman Appreciation Day, but why do you need to thank these guys? I'll tell you why, coming up.
Outside right now, a live shot in Nashville. Plenty of sunshine and unseasonably mild, borderline warm. I'll talk about it coming up next.
Now, the winning numbers in South Carolina's education lottery. Pick 3, 3, 7, 4.
And your pick 4, 7, 1, 6, 7. We have breaking news just into the newsroom. The Greenville County Sheriff's Office has just released new information about a quadruple shooting in Pelzer.
Deputies say the incident was not a home invasion and that witnesses say the victims were familiar with the suspects. The shooting may have occurred over a fight about money, we're told, from a drug transaction.
Deputies have released a description of the three suspects. They say the first is a thin man, about 22 years old, around 120 to 130 pounds, 5'6", wearing black jeans and a black T-shirt.
They say the second suspect is a man with long dreadlock hair dyed blonde, 5'10", 160 pounds, in a bright green and yellow Bob Marley jacket.
And the third suspect, a man about 6 feet tall, wearing a white hat and a white shirt, possibly with dreadlocks as well.
Deputies say they were last seen leaving in a mid-late 2000s silver Toyota 4-door with tinted windows. Again, deputies say this was not a home invasion.
We'll keep you updated on air and on our mobile app as well.
Defense Secretary Ash Carter announced today the U.S. will send more than 200 additional troops to Iraq to help the struggling government fight ISIS. Most of the additional troops will be Army Special Forces. The remainder will include some trainers, security forces for the advisors, and maintenance teams. The U.S. will also send helicopters as the Iraqis prepare to try to retake the city of Mosul from the terror group.
Former Olympic track star Oscar Pistorius appeared briefly in a South African courtroom today. A judge scheduled 5 days in June to determine his sentence for conviction of murdering his girlfriend. Pistorius is a double amputee sprinter. He was found guilty of murdering Riva Steenkamp back in 2013. The minimum sentence for murder in South Africa is 15 years, though it can be reduced in some circumstances.
Israeli Rescue Service officials say 10 people were hurt when a bus exploded in the heart of Jerusalem. The blast comes amid a wave of Palestinian attacks on Israelis. Images show fire and large plumes of smoke billowing from the back of the bus. Right near there are conflicting reports on how the explosion and the fire started.
Today is the 110th anniversary of the 1906 quake that rocked San Francisco. A memorial service was held to mark the anniversary. People observed a moment of silence, followed by the roar of fire truck sirens to mark the moment the quake struck. More than 3,000 people were killed in that quake. Today's ceremony also paid tribute to the victims of Thursday's earthquake in Japan and Saturday's quake in Ecuador.
Commitment 2016 right now. Hillary Clinton leads Bernie Sanders by just 2 points nationally in the Democratic presidential race. That's according to results from a new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll. Clinton gets the backing of 50% of Democratic primary voters, while Bernie Sanders gets support from 48%. That's down from Clinton's 9-point advantage a month ago. The poll shows Clinton leading Sanders by 15 points among women and by 18 points among minorities.
But tomorrow is all about New York State. The 2016 campaign zeroes in on the Empire State, and the frontrunners are poised to win big.
New York holds its Democratic and Republican primaries tomorrow, and all but one candidate spent the day campaigning there.
Sally Kidd is in our exclusive Washington newsroom with the latest.
Nigel and Carol, the latest polls show it's not even close on the Republican side, and for the Democrats, a winning streak could be coming to an end. The frontrunners are the runaway favorites to win New York, with 247 delegates at stake on Tuesday for Democrats and 95 for Republicans.
We love this city. You look at the other folks that are running, they couldn't care less about New York.
That's right.
We do care about New York.
Donald Trump is polling above 50% statewide, but the margins also matter at the district level.
The big question is, can Trump get above that 50% mark in a lot of these big city congressional districts? If he does that, he could take home all the delegates out of New York State.
Governor John Kasich is polling second, about 30 points behind Trump.
Hey, by the way, did you know I got endorsed by the newspaper here in Syracuse?
Ted Cruz, trailing third in New York, campaigned in Maryland instead.
The nation is looking to Maryland to decide, do we nominate Donald Trump and hand the election to Hillary Clinton?
Clinton is looking to blunt Bernie Sanders' momentum with a big win in her adopted home state.
It's about an agenda that we present to New York tomorrow, that we present to the country, that we vote on.
Sanders says he's at a disadvantage in New York.
Independents cannot participate in the Democratic primary. We usually win the independent vote.